Lifelong.
Minutes of July 2025. You did have an form.
Well, we didn't have a meeting last month.
July.
We didn't have a meeting in August, so we didn't get to approve the July ones.
Right.
And then roll over.
Right, so we're approving July.
Motion to approve the July meeting minutes.
All right, there's a second. Okay, you thought the second, no, maybe I'll leave that saying that. Okay. And we've done moving for the, move to number 4, well, of course, number 4, and we got share. Who's down there, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right, hello, my name is Deputy Ironman, work for the Sheriff's Office. So we're gonna talk about basically for the 3-month comparison of crimes. So assault for deadly weapons for the month of August and July, we had 0. For burglary, for like miscellaneous burglaries, we had 0 for July and 1 for August. For residential burglaries, we had 1 for July, 0 for August. And for domestic violence, we had 1 for July and none for August. For domestic violence where there's injury of a spouse, we haven't had any in the 2 months. Petty theft from a vehicle, we had 0 in July and 1 in August. Armed robbery, we had 1 in July and 0 in August. Vandalisms and felony vandalisms, both were 0s for August and for July. And as far as like illegal dumping, as far as evidence goes, we have 11 evidence that has been collected on that. Any questions about anything? I'm sorry, the last thing for right here for the bill,
The dumping.
for the illegal dumping. Yes, there was 11 like evidences collected, like where we were able to get people's names and the miscellaneous mail inside of the illegal dumping site.
Questions from anyone here or in Zoom? Okay, thank you for your.
All right, thank you.
What did you have in the board?
All right. You take care.
Okay, let's see, we don't have highway patrol, Richmond PD. correct?
Richmond PD is here.
Go right ahead.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Lucas, Richmond PD. I apologize for not being in there in person. I'm out of town in training, so I'm currently traveling in the car. So I'm going to try and do this multitask. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I only have the last 30 days of stats. I apologize for missing July's meeting. And I know in August we had National Night Out, so there was no meeting. But for the last 30 days, the Richmond Police Department responded to 515 calls for service. And out of those 515 calls for service, there were 44 incident reports authored. That's a mixture of miscellaneous crime reports and also stolen vehicle reports. And there were 9 arrests made. The majority of our calls for service were 911 disconnects. That's when someone calls into 911 and then hangs up before one of our dispatchers can answer the phone. We try and call back, but there's usually no answer. There were 78 of those. Richmond Police Department, we made 57 traffic stops and issued 18 citations from those traffic stops that were made. We issued 26 parking citations and also, excuse me, impounded 18 abandoned vehicles in the area as well. far as our reports are concerned, we took 12 stolen vehicle reports in the last 30 days. We also took one domestic violence with injury report and 2 domestic battery with no injury reports. There was also one report of a strong arm robbery, which is currently under investigation because we did get some good leads on the suspects known to the victim, so we were able to get a name out of that. There was also a report of a shooting, but through investigations, we found out that the shooting actually took place outside of the city of Richmond. It was actually in San Pablo, but the vehicle that was shot traveled into Richmond and was then parked in the North Richmond area. Officers contacted the occupants, and that also is currently under investigation as well. So I don't have any additional information on that. Other than that, um, oh, I'm sorry, and we also responded to 12 suspicious vehicle calls where people called in indicating the vehicles were parked in areas for an extended period of time. They were occupied and the people in the vehicles were engaged in some type of illegal activity. Those turned out to be miscellaneous crime reports, and with no serious felonies or crimes being committed. Other than that, I don't have any other stats to provide. If anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them at this point or at this time.
Any questions? In Zoom? Here? Go ahead.
So is this a report for Greater Richmond or is this a report for the part of North Richmond that's?
Oh, no, it's just for North Richmond. I pulled the stats just for North Richmond.
And those boundaries are what?
I'm sorry?
Those are boundaries that you pulled?
Let me take a look here. So starting at so Hensley 7th all the way up to
Jesse?
yes. So Castro, Hensley, right up to where we meet up with the sheriff's department right there at Grove.
Yes, there's a lot more activity on the Richmond side, the city side than there is on the other. I'm not sure what's driving that. But
So I can get into it a little bit. We have had so last month, I don't know if you recall, most of these calls for service were concentrated around one specific weekend. I don't know if you're all familiar with Hood Day. If not, it's events that take place throughout the city in different locations. It goes out on social media. There's flyers, there's invites, and the last one took place right there at the park
yeah.
at Shields Reed. So we had county and Richmond responding to that particular event. There were hundreds of people, hundreds of people out there. They had ponies, jump houses, a band. I mean, they had a good time. So from that, a majority, we got over 100 calls for service, and we responded to that location multiple times throughout the evening. I don't think it started at 2 in the afternoon and it went on until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And eventually we had to partner with county to push everybody out of the area because they had started blocking streets and doing donuts and vehicles and we got reports of people waving guns. So that one weekend was the majority of those calls for service. So that's really where it's all mostly stemming from.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for your report.
You're welcome. Everyone have a good evening.
We'll move to number 5, where it's consideration of approval or just kind of permit application 23-3446.
You wanna go up, Mark?
Yeah, I think so. You guys have questions?
Yeah, it would be great if you can come up and maybe give like a quick overview if possible.
Okay.
That could be very quick.
Well, this is a kind of a simple thing. When I own that, my name's Mark Howe. I own, the Ream plant. I know Don and I've been around forever. Maybe a little longer than you. I also own 2200 Central, which is on the corner, right across from the Golden Brands facility, which we recently redeveloped. Enterprise Rented Truck is one of the big tenants there. John Joya made a condition of our use permit. Well, they charged us $100,000. I guess you guys got that money. But made them commit to 30% electric vehicles by, I forget the date, and then another 2 years, another 30%. And, by the 2030, it's all gonna be anyway. So we're building a DC charging station there. There's just 3 terminals. Pretty modest. It doesn't really involve any encroachment, public streets. It's gonna occur mostly on site. It will be available to the public. They're fast AC charging. There's gonna be a canopy over it. I think it's in your packet. I didn't see your agenda.
It's in the packet.
Yeah, okay, so there's a canopy on the top of it to protect the occupants, the vehicle and occupants when they're charging. Probably be there for 45 minutes or so. And I think that's about, and then of course it's supplied by solar. There's the roof of that building. I don't know if you've seen it recently. There's 330,000 watts, 330 kW of single axis solar on the roof of that building. It's a 50,000 square foot building. And it goes to a 1.4 megawatt battery. So virtually all of the power sold at that site. It has enough power to charge 70 Teslas a day, 365 days a year. And that's the first thing we're gonna do is give away power. We're gonna have free power, free charging Fridays. Instead of spending a bunch of money on marketing, we're just gonna offer free charging 1 day a week. And that should be unique. Any more questions?
Any questions? On the Zoom, any questions on the Zoom?
Am I standing in front of this thing?
Any on the board?
Any questions?
I guess it wouldn't be a question, it'd just be a comment for like the free charging station is a really great idea. Although I wonder if it's actually gonna serve our community, because a lot of our community and our residents probably don't have electric vehicles.
You can't charge a gas car. You need an electric vehicle, but a lot of people are getting electric vehicles. They're getting cheaper than ICE vehicles. There's incentive,
We got
if not, the Trump administration has their way. We're all gonna be back in gas cars, but I have electric car. I like it. They drive nicely and you can charge them at home for the most part.
What are the public hours where they can go and is there any time?
The problem with that site is it's an industrial park, so the gate is programmed to open at 6 in the morning, close at 8 at night. And I might have to change those hours. So if people want, the stalls there are large. They're about 15 feet wide versus a normal Tesla stall, which is like 9 feet wide. And really it's designed for enterprise, small vans and delivery, those Amazon last mile delivery vehicles and things like that. So we anticipate that most of the users of that site will be, small companies that have these last mile delivery vehicles. But, it's a CCS adapter, it's a CCS plug. So anybody with any kind of electric car, even a Tesla can charge there with an adapter. So.
$100,000, not very much money. Did that come, was that assigned to one of the projects that we have listed that we want money to go to?
Did you guys see that money? I mean, they tell us, John told us and Robert told us that.
It's a benefit package that we passed, and then I'm not sure the details on it, but it was connected to.
I'm actually not sure if any of that money has been spent.
We need to check into.
Yes, I can check, but, I do know about the fund. I don't think we've allocated any.
Who has custody of that money?
The county does. Yeah,
Block.
yeah.
And the second question is kind of unrelated. Yeah, I drive by their office room and can you tell me what that art piece is?
Excuse me?
The art piece? It looks like-
Oh, the art piece. That's kind of an interesting story. That's a friend of mine, Scott Donahue, who's a public artist. He built that piece for the outpatient facility in Pinole that Kaiser had built. And a nurse that originally approved it from the drawings, retired. And when he finally finished it, he brought it up to install it and put in the, it's a relatively elaborate thing, pretty heavy. He brought it up there and the new administrator, when the hospital finally got, I'm talking about the Kaiser outpatient facility on Pinole Valley Road. Right, so what happened is they rejected it. The new administrator of that hospital said, I don't like it. It looks too much like death. Those look like angels. We don't want it. We'll pay you the 200,000 that we commissioned you. We agreed to pay you for the commission, but get rid of it. And so he gave it to me. He didn't give it to me. I paid him 20 grand or something for it. And I put it over there. What's that? No, they're not angels. I'd have to talk to Scott about it. But it's concrete, so it lasts a long time and, it's a little unusual. Okay, I'll ask Scott and find out what the meaning of that was.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I don't see any other questions, straightforward. I entertain a motion of approval.
Should we have an application?
Yes, second. All in favor, leave by saying aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Please, need to be approved. Thank you. We're gonna move to item number 6. And that is a presentation by.
Hello, I'm Dominic Ciatola, one of the assistant chief's operations. So they've got a little presentation they put together for you to kind of give you some numbers on the actions within the community. Of course, we work tight with Richmond Fire, so it's a joint effort. These statistics will flow between Richmond Fire and ourselves. I don't have control of that. So obviously, Chief Burchard and we transitioned in with Rodeo Hercules Fire. So now we took those firehouses as of last month of July, and that's going to put 2 more engine companies that are now with Contra Costa Fire stations under our control. So it's been a benefit because now we can kind of make policies and everything more uniform. It kind of streamlines some response plans, and we're working with Richmond Fire to make sure that we're kind of working together as far as our response zones and GPS positioning. So it puts us a little bit better as far as being able to respond to structure fires and so forth. Okay, so if I don't know if you can you make that bigger, but this talks about the 4th of July. We're relatively busy. The good news is Richmond area in itself and the east side kind of was busier than the west side of the county. So you can see in the stats on the bottom there, Richmond has a small piece of the pie and the whole west side was doing pretty well. Our highest activity was in the Antioch area with vegetation fires being the most prevalent during that time period. It was a relatively slow 4th of July for us here because of the weather. Obviously out here, we're always going to benefit because of cooler temperatures and higher moisture content. When we look down in the next couple slides, if you don't mind, we have had some structure fires and some vegetation fires that have benefited from this right here. We have a helicopter that's located out in Byron. It is partially funded by PG&E, and then there's some Measure X funds from the county that were put together to be able to get this helicopter up this year. It's going to operate just during the wildland season. It's positioned out in Byron just because it's a large area where you can put a helipad. It has fuel sources and housing for the pilot. These are the fires that it's gone to so far within the first few months. It carries just a few hundred gallons of water, but why we're bringing this up is because it does come into this area. So even though Richmond does not have a piece of the pie basically in the helicopter, they can call for it anytime, as well as our hand crew that's located out in Byron. So we've worked tight with Richmond when they get vegetation fires, Richmond Fire itself. We're bringing our crew over here to help, which is our hand crew that can help, cut lines around the fire and so forth and get access to areas where maybe the personnel can't get to that are on the fire engines, as well as our aerial capabilities now, which has been a great asset. So we just wanted to show you that just because that is coming into your area. You might see it flying around. And we're
Can you
hoping.
use that for a structure fire?
Oh, we don't know, because that's not gonna be real beneficial. It has to be something that we can hit from the exterior pretty much, right? Structures, we have to be able to go
Right.
inside. Yeah, it's gonna be mostly vegetation fires is the primary purpose. It does not do rescue either. So it doesn't have capabilities for us to, hoist people. Oh, a little over 300 gallons. So it's not very much. Yeah, and it's got like a little snorkel that we dip in the water and kind of suck the water up. It's got a pump and everything. And this is the carrying capacity under here. This a little storage area. It's actual.
Can you use seawater or has to use fresh water?
We use any water source. So these are reservoirs. We do have tanks that are positioned throughout the county that are new this year that they can also dip into that have been pre-positioned. So yeah, it's a great asset for right now. You go to the next.
And you have one or?
There's one helicopter. Yeah, they're not cheap to fly, obviously the maintenance and everything, so that's why it's,
Good mileage?
no. And they only fly during daylight hours, so there's some limitations to it. If you don't mind, yeah, thank you. That just goes over just some of the fires we've had in this area itself. So we've had, you can see quite a few exterior fires, and it's just broken down on the map you'll see here in a minute of where they've been located, but not significant, but obviously it's, we have to address that. 49 exterior fires, mostly smaller in nature. With the picture there also is our dozer that comes over to help. So we have 2 dozers that are available. Usually one is operating on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week. We have set operators there, so you might see our dozer working in conjunction with our air assets in your area. Again, Richmond can call them in. It's just under a mutual aid agreement with them. And we have a good relationship with the chief and everything. So they've been, it's been nice to share those. Structure fires, this is talking specifically North Richmond, right? So you don't have very many fires in this general area right now surrounding the area in the city of Richmond. We're, have a significant amount of fires still, but the good news is, and the north end of town, we're not seeing very many. And when we come into this area, it's gonna be 62, 70, all the surrounding Richmond and Contra Costa units will come in to assist. So it's gonna be a joint effort in here. And usually Chief Woodard would have been, I was hoping he was gonna be here to speak to his, this is his home basically. So it's nice to have him around to help us out. Next one, if you don't mind, shows the map itself. So right there's our total call volume that we run pretty much on the west side of the county right there. And this is all available. There was you guys can get a copy of this, I'm sure, through the supervisor's office or our office. Outlining more of the calls that you'll see that we pulled up for you. So there's not really much to offer, which is good news. I just want to make sure I introduce myself, showed you that we're here in cooperation with Richmond Fire. And if you guys have any questions as far as our operations, I can answer them for you this evening.
So when you guys annexed the Hercules Rodeo Fire District,
Mhm.
I guess you just assume the revenue that they got from their property taxes and merged that into Con Fire.
Correct. So
Was
that's
that
why.
controversial, or was that they were encouraging that, or you were encouraging that?
There was, I mean, it was talked about for years, how that was gonna take place, because there was Measure O money and everything that had to do with that. But for instance, we took just the money that was in those firehouses in that district to be able to operate. So as an example, we run 4-person truck companies on all of our trucks throughout the area. That area is gonna say a 3-person truck company because there wasn't extra revenue to fund that. So the revenue is what it is. And there was some controversy, but overall, the benefit to that is we have a lot of assets that we can provide into the smaller area, which was kind of tough, for training purposes, equipment. It's hard to operate
They
in
don't
a
have
2 stations when we're all around. Yeah, they get limited resources. You have a 2-station department. It's tough, And so I think
They have
that's.
a bulldozer.
Yeah, they know that, right? So just a big
That
cooperation.
Ranch Fire was right near my house. I live up there in Brandon.
Yeah,
How the heck do you guys get there so fast?
yeah, just to send a lot all at once, basically, right? We just flooded as soon as those calls come in. I mean, there was,
How many guys
It's
did they
accuracy.
with hose,
yeah,
a path like 6 feet wide in the dirt?
yeah. Well,
So like
that,
10 guys just going crazy?
that's our hand crew. Yeah, so they'll run anywhere from about 18 at a time. They'll go out there 12 to 18 and they'll start, cutting by hand. Basically, yeah, and then our dozer comes through and it'll sweep and get control lines around it as well. So it's a nice, and when we talk about, limited resources, Richmond's not gonna have a dozer, they're not gonna have helicopters, which is fine, because it's not a lot of areas where they're gonna need it. So it's just nice to be able to cooperate with other agencies, we kind of share the wealth of what we need, right? So it's nice to have mutual aid agreements, and that's where it comes into play. Any questions on kind of what we're doing as a fire department for Contra Costa for you guys in North Richmond? Because 70 is your main house coming in here. So it's gonna be close and it's gonna back up 62 pretty quickly as they respond. You've seen them come around.
Are you zooming questions?
I don't see any.
Criticisms?
I remember, y'all was talking about the time it would take, for either San Pablo or the Richmond Fire Department to get to Richmond if anything happened. Did y'all ever figure that out?
As far as specific apparatus, are you talking about just overall?
There was fire, who would be the first one to respond, either San Pablo or Richmond?
Right, so it's all driven off of our MDTs, our mobile data stations, and it's all GPS now. And so we do speak with the chief often because there's areas where the computer will want certain rigs going to it, so it's a combination of, at least 5 engines, 1 ladder truck. Our ladder truck's gonna be closer sometimes than the 168 coming off the hill, so off Hilltop. So the computer is gonna pick what it sees as far as where those apparatus are placed, and it's gonna make suggestions. And then your battalion chief in Richmond, as well as our battalion chiefs, will make adjustments en route as they're seeing stuff. The units will pop up and say, hey, we're available, and they're communicating. But Chief Osorio and Chief Bouchard are in constant communications. We were just met up with them last week talking about Chevron and responses to the community. So I think it's that constant dialogue, which we've had to make CAD adjustments to be able to come in North Richmond quicker and to be able to get the right apparatus in here. That's the big thing, right? Because it's not only the fire engines, we have our ladder trucks and so forth that have to be able to respond in, as well as hazardous material. There's a lot in the community here that we have to support. So it's a constant dialogue with the chief. So we're still working on it.
And then just to clarify, you said the helicopter, even though it's in a different, you said Byron, it's in Byron.
Yeah.
It could still serve Richmond if everyone.
For sure. Yes.
You said to fund it and maintain it came from Measure X funds?
And the PG&E. PG&E donates money into it. I believe $1 million is what they put in. We're hoping to have that relationship again with them next year. But again, I'm not at that level where it's making those decisions. But as soon as your Richmond Fire employees want that helicopter, or any of us in management, we can call them and they could be out here in 10, 15 minutes from the time we give them a ring. So
Is that the Concord Airport?
no, it's at Byron. It's way out in Byron.
There's an
Byron
airport,
Highway.
small airport out there.
It's not an airport. It's just where we have our Byron
It's a
Fire
district
Camp.
facility.
It's a fire district facility, which was an old county facility, and it's got barracks and everything to house the hand crew, as well as the helicopter, fuel station, and they have a mechanic out there. Yeah, so it's not too far.
Bonfire headquarters is still in Concord, right? At that new building they built.
Which one is it? I'm sorry.
Bonfire,
The administration, is that what you're
yeah, the
asking?
administration building.
It's off Port Chicago Highway.
Yeah, that's it.
The chief's still there, yes. And that's just one part of it, right?
That old facility you guys had up there in Pleasant Hill, that thing, oh, that was an old fire station.
That was the old admin and now it's being remodeled to the new communication center. So that's right now in a remodel, so that'll be now the comm center. Yeah, they outgrew that area.
There was some question along the Princess was saying about life-saving equipment, right?
Mhm.
And Richmond may not have, county had or something with some kind of.
EMS stuff.
Yeah,
Well, we have paramedics and Richmond currently is working on getting paramedics on their engines, but You know, we were always, like I said, if they call, we're gonna come in and help them out no matter what. So there's always gonna be a difference no matter what agency's working next to another as far as their capabilities, you know? But like hazardous material response, you know, we need Richmond to help us out, right? And it goes vice versa. We give a little, they give a little, and it's just that team effort that makes it work. That's why auto aid and mutual aid agreements are so important because those are pre-set up. There are no barriers. We come in, we help each other out. It's for our safety. It's for the safety of the community. We can get here faster. And you know, years ago, we had 2 line of duty deaths and we learned a lot from that. And so we've been constantly trying to make sure our responses are quicker, our get out times are quicker. And then working with, like I said, Richmond Fire, we train with them and we try to keep those communications open. It's not going to be perfect, right? As far as like you were saying, the response plans, but we're constantly talking to them to make sure that we're making adjustments to get here quicker and effectively and to
All the
operate.
vegetation fire stuff, so you have mutual agreements with Cal Fire too, I guess.
Yes, so we do,
Carbon stuff and
correct.
whatever.
Yeah, so it's all, they did the maps, Cal Fire redid a lot of their fire mapping. So they've adjusted their response plans, which in turn, especially when we get down on what we call a drawdown, where the state is using resources for Napa or something like that, their air assets and everything are far from us. So to have an air asset local is huge. We can get them out here quick. And then Cal Fire comes in with obviously a heavier load of capabilities with fixed wing aircraft and so forth, more apparatus, and it just depends where that fire is itself, whether it's a designated just a local fire, or is it now going to state land, you know, so that all gets figured out by us as the managers of the incident to be able to determine who actually owns that incident at the end. But we come in with full force no matter what, and we decide all that afterwards, you know, it's just automatically in the agreements.
So say if you were mutual aid and there was something like in Richmond, for example, there was a
Right.
plastic fire many years ago.
Right.
And obviously you guys were involved in that. And it went on for a long time. Does Cal Fire get reimbursed by the city of Richmond for the assets that they employed?
Not on a mutual aid agreement, that's the
There's no-
deal, it's not on mutual aid.
Sometimes you guys go to like Southern California for. a
Then we
big
do.
fire.
Then it's set
Oh,
up
they
under,
pay you.
correct. So, and what we have a local agencies where we support the 9 area counties around us. That's all a mutual aid agreement. We'll just go out, we do our thing. But if we're going to go to, you said Southern California, that falls under different agreements where they actually reimburse for time, that are, and fuel costs, et cetera. Yeah, so the city doesn't eat that money. That's if that's what you're asking, because they'll reimburse for personnel and everything.
So you said that the funding was even and Measure X, right?
Yes, Contra Costa Fire had some Measure X money. I believe that's where they got the other piece of the pie for that. That's why it becomes a resource for everybody, right? Like some of our hand crews, we want to make sure the hand crew, which still has some county funding tied to it, we're not going to hoard that resource, right? If the county funding is going into it, the county reaps the benefit of it, you know? So that's why it's important that we basically, they want it, we send it. Yeah. Questions? You guys okay? Nice meeting you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, we're going to.
So Cheryl and I are going to present today. My name is Latifa Abdullah. I'm a North Richmond resident and I also work at the North Richmond Farm. And my job is a community engagement manager for North Richmond or for the North Richmond Farm. We're at 323 Brookside Drive. And we have 3 acres there. We have an additional 7 acres that we bought from the Nevada family. But we're currently working on the 3 acres, and the 7 acres will go through a community process to see what the community wants to do with the 7 acres. Sure, I will try. All right, so, all right, let's go to the next slide, our mission. So at Urban Tilt, we inspire, hire, and train local residents to cultivate agriculture, feed our community, and restore relationships to land. And the purpose is to build a more sustainable food system within a just and healthier community. All right, so because my area is primarily North Richmond, that's what you mostly hear me talk about here. But we're in different locations. So we have programming at Verde, the local elementary school. We have programming at Richmond High, Unity Park, the Greenway, Crescent Park, Parchester, Lucas Park. And at North Richmond, we primarily, our target audience is North Richmond residents, San Pablo, and Richmond residents. We serve the other local communities, but those three are our target. It's our target audience. So we operate with an equity lens. All of our training is paid. So whether it's the Rudy Luzito Fellowship, the Summer Youth Apprenticeship Program, or the Basins Relations and Watershed Program, it's always paid. All right, so these are things you can get for free from the farm and other locations. So nursery plants, you're welcome to come to the farm Monday through Thursday, and whatever is out there, you can pick up for free. We also have free farm stands around North Richmond. Yeah, so these are ways that you can engage with the farm offsite. On and offsite, actually. All right, and also, so we have opportunities where you can participate in different events and volunteer. We have field trips there, tours there. So community days, volunteer days. If you want to help pack the produce that's going to residents, you're welcome to come and assist with that. Lots of different events, wellness, cultural, farming. We have different groups coming to help there. Eagle Scouts, the Girls Garage, local, national, international groups come to the farm. All right, so CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And you have an opportunity. So we, like I said, we grow produce at 323 Brookside Drive. And so some of the CSA program, you can, it's a tiered program. So if you pay, some might pay $35, some might pay $15. So the people that pay $35 allow the people that may not, may be lower income to pay $15. And so we think it's a fair way for everybody to get what they need, what they're needing. And yeah, so you can have the produce delivered to your home, or you can come pick it up. Yeah, it's fresh produce from the farmer. We also partner with local farmers to provide fresh produce to the community. All right, so we have the extended, so I think that the senior gardening days, spring break, after school at the farm, those are fairly new. So the senior gardening days take place here. Spring break is at the farm. And the spring break is 6th through 8th grade. After school at the farm is pre-K through 5th grade. Because the summer program is ages 15 to 19. Orchard for All is if you have an overflow of fruit, our team will come out and harvest it for you and put it in our free farm stands. That's for North Richmond. If you're in Iron Triangle, Coronado, they will actually, we have funding to help you take care of the trees. Just Transition is a team. So we're talking about fires here, you know, they create medicine for the community. So it's really to help with, we started out with the fires, but also the respiratory and just the different things that we experience in this community. So whether it's things from the refinery or just the, yeah, it's just to help with your respiratory. So different herbs and Just Transition, that's what our Just Transition team does. And, you know, trying to move to, you know, just a healthier, overall, for our overall health. Okay, we have a community advisory committee. It's made up of residents, staff, CSA members, and they assist in making this, the decision-making at the farm. And our watershed team deals with the creeks, both local and in the Bay Area. And so Cheryl's gonna come talk about that, and then I'll come and end with the construction.
Hey, everybody. Hi, everybody. For those that don't know me, I'm Cheryl. I am with the Watershed Program for Urban Soap. And I'm just giving you a basic rundown. So we do have, as Latifa mentioned, different programs within Urban Soap, but the Watershed Program itself also has different programs within itself. So we have things like our Basins of Relations Training Program, which just started today. We hired about 8 apprentices to join us, and they will be working alongside us from September to December, learning about like environmental justice, water stewardship, and things like that. Then we have our water restoration fields crew. So primarily in the work that we do in North Richmond is working right out here at Wildcat Creek and back here in San Pablo Creek, that's right behind the farm. The team helps and supports the creek, cleaning up and re-inviting like natural ecosystems. We grow a lot of our plants at our local nursery, and we invite these native plants back into these spaces to reintroduce them back into their actual space to help recreate these ecosystems. And also picking up trash and doing a lot of like tree pruning, weeding, and things like that. We also have community engagement events. We also do events out here in North Richmond. We try to focus on multiple parts of Richmond, but we focus mainly like in the Iron Triangle and in North Richmond. Our next event is going to be September 20th, which will be Coastal Cleanup. We'll be hosting it right down here at Wildcat Creek. We'll be doing some, trash pickup and doing some invasive species removal. And then we also have a native plant nursery. So if anyone's interested in receiving native plants, a lot of the team grows majority of the plants, as I mentioned, to be reintroduced into different sites. So we also do have like native plant giveaways at these events, or if you just are interested in things like we have like some medicinal plants, we have things that are just really good to bring back pollinators into your home. We do have access to that. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to touch in with me and I can get you with some of those. And then more so in the Iron Triangle, Santa Fe, Coronado, similarly to our Orchard for All program, we have a water conservation project. And this project offers free water conservation systems to homeowners. So things like laundry to landscape, drip systems, and rain barrels. They can receive one of these systems for free. And we've done about 50 installations within the span of 2 years. So, and then, yeah, we've done a lot. And that's kind of just like a really quick summary of what the watershed, basins of relations and all that would be. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
So, the watershed program is part of Urban Hill.
So there, we get confused with the watershed project. We are just known as the watershed. It's known as the watershed, as the basins of relations program, but we just fall under kind of watershed since we work in the watersheds here in the Bay Area.
It's been getting a lot of press lately that the Trump administration withdrew $19 million from Urban Hill in the farm.
Mhm.
That was earmarked for a lot of, even obviously those buildings that Oprah is partially constructed out there were going to be paid for with that. But can you comment on what's likely the outcome if the Trump administration is successful and
I think
revoking that funding? Or is that
that's something Latifa would have a little bit more knowledge about.
It's the next slide.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Latifa, if you wanna come up. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you do our bioswales, right?
Yes, we do the Fred Jackson Way rain gardens and
Those
bioswales.
that I have to build around those industrial parks. They're pretty elaborate.
Yeah, so a lot of,
Inspected, and there's some guy from the Cross County watershed.
yeah.
Something or other.
So we partner along with them to maintain these bioswales and introduce some of the planting. So for example, at the Fred Jackson Way bioswales and rain gardens, we had an event. I think this was I'm not sure which MLK day it was. But we had community come out and introduce these plants into the rain gardens to help filter out sediment, filter out pollution and garbage to prevent them from going into the creeks and into our bay eventually.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, so we'll finish it off with, so we have this elaborate construction. It's about 6 phases. We're in phase 2. And so this is what we've accomplished so far. We have the new greenhouse, the plant nursery, we have the sweet spot, so we have the bees and the honey. We have the farm shed and the farm crew break room done, the watershed workshop, the compost toilet. We've begun the history walk, so a portion of the history walk is done. The crop row, if you visit the farm, you'll see the crop row outdoor classroom and also the orchard outdoor classroom. If you were there for Dr. King Day, all of this is gravel that you see. So now we have the pavers in there. And let's see, on Brookside, so we do have the new sidewalk, the curb and the gutter. We don't have the rain gardens yet, and we're not really using the driveway right now. We're waiting for a pole to be moved to be able to do the rain gardens. So we have added more growing space, and so we'll be, you can give input. We'll also be getting with the Community Advisory Committee to see what would you like to, so we'll have the 2 UPIC parcels, so the community can come and pick from these parcels, both in the crop rows and also in the orchard. We've also launched the oral history project, so that history walk is going to be a focal point in the farm, so from the front to the back of the farm, and we'll have pre-1776 all the way up until now. The portion that we're working on right now is like 1940. That would have been like the blues era in North Richmond. And so we're interviewing the different people groups who occupied North Richmond so that we can display the information. Let's see. All right, next. Finish here. All right, so the next, so the community room and the wash and pack, those are the next. So you were talking about the 19 million. So the community room is also supposed to serve as a resiliency center, a breathing center. And so it's supposed to have the solar and the battery backup. So it's gonna be a really nice place, both for the community to reserve it for different events, and then it also serve as the breathing center and also the wash and pack. So if you go to the next slide, you were talking about the 19 million. So these are the things that was supposed to be used for in North Richmond. So the community room, the resiliency center, the greening project at the local elementary school, the e-bike lending library, Wildcat Creek improvements, and the Las Deltas revitalization. So if you would like to, so if you scan this QR code, you can sign the petition to assist us and seeing if we can get the money released, so we are actively looking to both have the money released and also looking for other avenues to be able to recoup the 19 million. And it wasn't only North Richmond that was affected. So as you can see, I think it's about 800 other communities. In different parts of the country.
What was the biggest budget item in that 19 million?
I would say it was the resiliency center, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
The which one?
The resiliency center.
Okay, the construction over in the farm. Okay.
That was the biggest one, and you're right, there was a judge that ruled in favor of Trump recently, and the county has been doing all the protocols that the lawyers are recommending to do if you want to dispute it. So the county is actively disputing the termination, and following that protocol, and just keeping up to date with any news or recommendations or joining webinars that are happening, like in real time in response to like judge orders. So Like, I know this morning I got, I was reading a bunch of emails about like, Zoom, webinars are gonna happen in response to the recent decision. So I think we're just doing our best to like stay up to date with the news and it's a very frustrating and very heartbreaking story here in North Richmond, because we lost 19 million, and aside from all the things listed, another project that also got defunded was retrofitting homes. It was gonna be like 300 homes or something that were gonna get electrified through the county, so it was just like a big hit to the community, so. But we're just gonna continue to keep up to date and continue to dispute the termination and cross our fingers something happens, but.
Luck.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're at the last slide if you want to go to the next one. So we're getting ready to celebrate our 20th anniversary, October 11th. So Urban Tilt started with 5 volunteers and we have over 80 employees, and love for you to come and share in the celebration with us. So, is there any questions? Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move to the watershed project.
Yeah, Natalie, do you wanna share, or do you want me to share?
Yes, I'm happy to share my screen. Can y'all see that on your end? And can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So let me just move this over. Alrighty. Perfect. So, hi everyone. Good evening. My name is Natalie Matias, and I am the Community Engagement Project Manager at the Watershed Project. It's really funny that Cheryl kind of introduced the topic of watersheds through the Basins of Relations program at Urban Tilt. And so it's a perfect segue to discuss an overview of projects that we're working on in North Richmond. So really quickly, before we get into the list of projects, it appears that there we go. The list of projects that we're currently working on in North Richmond. I just wanted to do a quick overview of the Watershed Project, what it is that we are dedicated to, how long we've been doing it for, and all that jazz. So the Watershed Project's mission is to inspire local residents to understand, appreciate, and protect our watersheds. And for those of you who are wondering what a watershed is, it is essentially an area of land that drains or sheds water to a main water body. So at all times, if you're, on land, you're in some kind of watershed. And so the work that we'll be discussing today focuses mainly on mainly focuses on the Wildcat Creek watershed. Typically, when you look at a natural watershed, it kind of looks like the image that I have here. You have some kind of sloping, whether that be mountains, a gentle slope, and essentially that water will flow into one main body of water. Eventually, it will do a couple of different things. It'll percolate through different kinds of sediments and soils, eventually reaching different kinds of aquifers. Alternatively, water will flow through creeks before eventually jetting out into something like, in our case, the bay. And so a natural watershed can look like this, but also sometimes watersheds are urbanized. And so in our case, the Bay Area averages around 70% of impervious surfaces, which means that water cannot penetrate these areas. So you're thinking things like roads, sidewalks. Just think about what these areas look like. They are covered in cement. And so when water kind of comes around, it's really hard for it to actually penetrate or percolate through those different layers of substrates, And so really what we have is a lot of loss of water. Water will then evaporate and eventually not reach our aquifers and water sources. And so, so what are the impacts to creeks in the bay? When we have highly urbanized areas, it's really hard for water to make it to where it needs to go. So what is our watershed here in North Richmond? It is, depending on who you ask, one watershed or two. Now I say that because I would consider us as being in the Wildcat Creek watershed. We also are very close to a neighboring watershed called the San Pablo watershed. So you might notice, I don't know can you guys see my mouse when I hover? I think you should be able to. Here, let me actually point just in case. Just a moment. I'm gonna try to draw with something bright. Okay, so the area that's highlighted here, this is all Wildcat Creek. And so it is a very beautiful watershed. It's very long. It's about 13 miles long. It starts up in the Berkeley Hills at something known as Volmer Peak. And then it rolls past a number of different communities, Berkeley, Kensington, El Cerrito, Richmond, San Pablo, and then North Richmond before trickling out to the bay. And then not pictured so clearly here, I should do that in a different color, is the San Pablo watershed. It actually runs just next to Wildcat Creek and also is a part of that North Richmond watershed. Perfect. So, oh, now that is just a second, friends. So why does any of this matter? Why do watersheds matter? Well, everything that we do from mountaintops to marshlands affect our water, our land, wildlife, families, and our communities. Oh my gosh, I missed one more. Thank you. And so our goal at the Watershed Project is to communicate with different individuals the importance of watersheds. So education is our primary goal, but we do that through a number of different means. So we have a couple different programs at the Watershed Project that focus on environmental education, greening infrastructure, habitat restoration, advocacy and research, and also community engagement. We work with K through 12 students, college students, community volunteers, young adults, grassroots community groups, local environmental agencies. And we really just try to connect with anyone who will listen about why these watersheds are so important, how they have a role in shaping these watersheds in their future. And so there are just a couple different projects that we have going on in North Richmond that we want to make sure that you know about. We also intend on giving you updates on these projects throughout the remainder of the year. And so depending on the project, you'll either hear an update from us or from some of our project partners. And so I just wanted to kind of run through some of the things that we can expect for the rest of the year. So in Shields Reed, there has been some ongoing construction there for some time, and it appears that that construction will be finalized if it's not finalized already. And so we'll be leading some planting days at the Shields Reed Habitat Garden. And also there are some planters in the front of the community center in October and November. And so this has been going on for a really long time. The construction has taken about a year. And so we're really eager to get some native plants in the ground, chat with some community members about the rain gardens and bioswales that are being installed and how that impacts their health. We also are working on a project called Restoring Wildcat Creek. We're working on that project in partnership with Urban Tilth and a couple other community partners as well, including Contra Costa County, the Flood Control District, SFEI, a number of different organizations. And so our goal with the Restoring Wildcat Creek project is a number of things. One is there's a development of something called the Wildcat Restoration Action Plan. And that is exactly what it sounds like. It is a plan for the future of Wildcat Creek. And so we're developing that plan in partnership with the county, our different partner organizations, and community members to make sure that the Wildcat Creek we see in the future is one that reflects our values. And so making sure that we are keeping the community involved in that entire process is our main goal. But there are a couple other elements involved with this project that include actually creek restoration. And so that will mean that there will be some actual construction and sediment moving to this project. And so we're going to make sure to keep you updated on the schedule for the moving of sediment, anything that has to do with a reshaping of the channel. And there are a couple different things being considered for this plan. And so it's still in the very early stages. That's why I don't have any actual concrete information to get your feedback on at this time. But I really just wanted to make sure to come to you guys now to let you know, like, there are things cooking. And so we need to make sure that we are paying attention to kind of what's going on. And I'm here to help really facilitate that process. So in addition to creating that planning document, working on creek restoration, we're also working on bringing equal access to the Bay Trail and the future horizontal levee development that is being put together right now. And I'll actually talk about that a little more in just a couple slides. Now, also included in this Restoring Wildcat Creek project, as I mentioned, there's creek restoration. Before anyone can go in and make changes to the creek, we really want to make sure we have a good understanding of what's going on there right now. And so one of the research elements that we lead in partnership with Trout Unlimited actually is monthly water quality monitoring in Wildcat Creek. And so we have a number of different sites located all along the creek from upper central to the lower watershed. And so we're making sure to keep an eye on kind of any changes that are happening, have happened, will happen, and we'll make sure to relay that to you as information continues to come in. Now, another project that we're actually leading is called the Wildcat Creek Stewards Project, and it's comprised mainly of 4 initiatives, again, led by us, the Watershed Project, supported by a number of community partners and collaborators. And this project is really designed to increase Wildcat Creek engagement, and that really includes creating more opportunities for the community to get involved in the restoration of this creek. So planning different activities such as creek cleanups, educational opportunities, restoration plantings, and invasive plant removal opportunities through our Wildcat Action Network event series. So again, monthly events that we invite the community to engage with Wildcat Creek, either through exploration or stewardship. We also have our youth workforce development programs and opportunities. We have something called the Green Collar Corps internship program. And so we work with youth 18 to 24 to help build their skills, build their resume, introduce them to the wonderful world of green careers. And so we also work with college students through a fellowship program. And so making sure that we are involving young folks in the future of Wildcat Creek is something that we wanted to make sure to include in this project. So the GCC program going strong, actually currently interviewing folks for GCC program. It runs for an entire year. And so folks will start in October and end in it actually runs for the entire school year, better said. So it'll, I believe, begin October and end in about May. And so these folks will have an opportunity to engage in either community engagement pathways, restoration and greening urban watershed pathways, education pathways, or scientific research. Also, one of, oh, here we go. This is actually a flyer in Spanish for our Wildcat Action Network events. And we also host a number of opportunities just out in the community. So whenever there are festivals, any community events or meetings that we can come and talk with folks about Wildcat Creek and the different projects going on there, how they can get involved, why they should even care. I feel like that's really the most important element of my work, is trying to bridge that connection between people and their surroundings. A lot of folks, especially through the Wildcat Action Network events and our community leadership team for Wildcat Creek, have mentioned that there's so much to Wildcat Creek, to the environment, that they didn't know existed. And so getting to just take the time to hear about it and engage with the creek, the watershed, is really beneficial. And so we really enjoy getting to be able to facilitate programs such as this. And lastly, we also have education programs. So we work with a number of schools in Western Contra Costa County, where we do Wildcat Creek specific programming. We also, again, to make sure that it's clear, we don't only work in Wildcat Creek, we actually work all across San Francisco Bay in a number of different watersheds. But because we're your focus is North Richmond, it really the most important things to highlight are the things going on in your area. Now, another really great project that some of you might be familiar with, because you have been involved with it yourselves, is the North Richmond Collaborative Shoreline Adaptation Planning Project. And this is essentially a collaboration between community members and project designers to help shape the future of the North Richmond shoreline. So if any of you are familiar with areas out past the Richmond Parkway, close to Chevron, in between about Chevron and the Republic Services Station, that is the project area for this project. And our goal is to work with technical experts to make sure that they're including community preferences in their design plan. And so that design plan is going to end up in something called a horizontal levee. And a horizontal levee is going to be something that both protects North Richmond from a changing climate, but also brings some nice community amenities to North Richmond. And so the goal is that this project will give community members an opportunity to not even just voice, but actively have a role in the shaping of this project. And so this one is really wonderful. It's quite innovative. And so there's a community leadership team that has been put together for this phase of the project. And they'll connect with technical experts to kind of iron out the design plans for that horizontal levee on the North Richmond shoreline. And so I know that there's a lot of projects that I mentioned. So I also have a project list on here for your reference. And it also includes some mention of it's not an all-inclusive list, because too many words I find is just overwhelming for folks. And so I'm happy to, of course, elaborate on some of the partners or any elements that folks have some questions on. But again, to reiterate, in North Richmond, the things coming up for the remainder of 2025 that I think are of interest to folks here today are the Shields Reed Habitat Garden plantings happening in November and October and November. This project is led by Contra Costa County, or excuse me, the county, City of Richmond, supported by the Watershed Project. We also have Restoring Wildcat Creek, which is led by the county and SFEP. And then that's supported by us, Urban Tilth, Trout Unlimited, just to name a few. We also have the Wildcat Creek Sewage Project led by us. And the most important elements that I would love folks to take away from the Wildcat Creek Stewards projects is really twofold. There is a community leadership team for Wildcat Creek. It has about 23 community members that live or work in North Richmond who are dedicated to helping shape the future of the creek. And so they're learning about the creek, trying to figure out a game plan for how they can best engage with their fellow friends and neighbors to help gather opinions on what they would like to see in the future. And the second, the Wildcat Action Network. It's a series of monthly events that the Watershed Project hosts in and around Wildcat Creek, really to gain attention that the creek has projects that are coming about and we can make a change if we want to see one. We also have the North Richmond Collaborative Shoreline Adaptation Planning Project led by West County Wastewater District, supported by the Watershed Project and a number of different folks. And lastly, which I actually just realized I did not discuss until now, is the Fish Passage Retrofit Project. So that's also being led by the county. And so the Fish Passage, for those of you unfamiliar with it, down by Verde Elementary, just upstream a couple hundred feet of Verde Elementary, there's a fish passage ladder that is not really functioning very well. And so no fish are able to traverse it. And so because the Watershed Project, a couple different other community partners, and that we've heard, community members would love to see some fish in Wildcat Creek. Once again, things like steelhead trout specifically, excuse me. Would love to see things like steelhead trout in the creek once again. We need to do some work on that fish passage, that fish ladder. And so the county is working on that actively, and we are working on the community engagement for that. So how can you folks get involved? Well, feel free to please join one of our upcoming Wildcat Action Network events. Most notably are September 20th and September 27th. Those are both to celebrate Coastal Cleanup Day. On September 20th, our friends at Urban Tilth will be having a creek cleanup at Wildcat Creek. We'll also have some cleanups happening along the Richmond shoreline. It's not in North Richmond, but it is at the Shamata Park for anyone looking to do a cleanup in that section. And alternatively, we'll also be leading a creek cleanup at Wildcat Creek the following Saturday. So if you're unable to join on Urban Tilth on the 20th, we'll be there on the 27th, making sure that we collect anything else that has popped up since then. Also, of course, because there are so many projects and so many things going on, I understand if folks are like, that's kind of overwhelming. I just want to let her know that I would like to see X, Y, and Z at the creek, and I would like to, don't like this. Please feel free to reach out and let me know. Our role in a number of these projects is to be kind of that liaison, that person that connects, or the group, the people that connect with community members and bring some of that feedback back to our project partners and let them know, hey, it sounds like the folks in North Richmond do not want you to do that at all. So, you know, or X, Y, and Z, or however that might go. So you're also welcome to, of course, shoot me an email at natalie@thewatershedproject.org with any questions, comments, or concerns you have regarding Wildcat Creek. And also, alternatively, you can also stay up to date on all things regarding Wildcat Creek via our website at thewatershedproject.org. Well, thank you all so very much. I wonder if anyone has any questions, because that was a lot.
questions here or in Zoom?
I don't
I
see
got a
anything.
question.
Oh,
I got a couple of questions. So you mentioned the Restoring Wildcat Creek project, and I remember being a part of that when, back, before the pandemic. And there were designs that actually came out of that process and actual like community engagement feedback. Are you taking the design that we created and working with experts to move the, the project forward to restore Wildcat Creek? Are you-
Yeah, that's, oh, I'm so sorry. Keep going. I'm so sorry.
No, I was saying, are you doing that or are you building new designs in this next, cohort or next, years?
Really great question. We definitely are going to try to lead. We are leading with the designs. What I specifically am working on in the last couple months, I have been connecting both with experts, municipalities, community groups, and community members to kind of share that design with them and let them know, like, all right, friends, we have a design already that has been thought of by community members. It's not, something that was creative by some random Yahoo. And this is what it sounds like we want to push forward. And so really what my and the Watershed Project's focus for the next couple months is really pushing forward that design. Specifically, how do I phrase? I have a professional opinion and a personal opinion, as they say. My professional opinion is that it would be really, really wonderful if this plan is pushed forward by folks, for example, by the community leadership team, but like that we're leading, but also I can show them the plan. We can kind of talk through the different elements. But for example, with my community leadership team, there's I can show them the plan, but I can't say, all right, you guys want to do this, right? This is what we're pushing forward. And so for our leadership team, it's taken some time. We've been meeting since October of 2024, and we've been learning about the different elements that went into the design. And so what I have been trying to do is share with them the limitations that we kind of thought of when that design was being put together, and are trying to gain their support so that they can continue to push this forward. So essentially in twofold, we, yes, are pushing forward the design that we put together, and we're trying to make sure that community members now that weren't involved in the past also support the design. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. Thank you. Thank you so much too around that. And I guess on that, it would be great, like, to know, like, if is there anything gonna be built soon? Like, we don't wanna, like, I don't want y'all to go through another, like, study or anything like that. I actually want the designs to actually implement something, like, is there anything gonna be built? Is there a bench actually gonna be built on a creek or something, Have you made those touch points yet? Is there funding that y'all have looked at to, move forward the design or something like that? Just wanted to know more about like the next steps in y'all process. Is it just
Yeah.
It's gonna be an engagement process, or are y'all actually trying to move forward some of the design elements?
Yes. Oh my God. This is like exactly what I needed. Thank you, Princess. So, this is actually exactly what, we are working on bringing back to the project team. So what they need from us in this current stage is the project right now is working on so remember, there's 3 elements to the Restoring Wildcat Creek project. There's designing the plan, there's the creek restoration and horizontal levee prep, and then there's equal access, so community access to the levee and the Bay Trail. So what you're asking about is that third element. And right now, the project is working on the creek restoration and horizontal levee prep. So in essence, we're doing like a lot of background, sharing the design plan with folks, trying to essentially get more buy-in from community members, municipalities, and project partners. And we are going to have to apply for funding for the construction of the design plan. As of right now, where we're at is that we did design that plan, but it is still not funded. And so what I am trying to do, like literally me, Natalie, within the watershed project, is trying to do is really build connections between community members and different project partners to say, you guys, you don't understand how much the community wants this. We really need to figure out how to get the money. Where do we get the money? Who's going to be in charge of it? How do we actually make it happen? And so that's where we're at now. It's like conversations are being had. And technically, even this right now. So you asking like, okay, we have it, but really, where are we? How can we advance it? This is literally something that I'm going to mention at our next like project team check-in and bring it to, for example, the county and say, okay, we have folks asking like, what about this design plan? Can we do something with it? And the goal is then that our partners, including the county and other folks, will say, okay, it does sound like this is something that we want to do. Let's figure out how we can actually apply for this funding.
Great, thank you. And I'm just appreciative that the work is continuing on Wildcat Creek. It's one of our only natural spaces out here, and we need to maintain it. You know, the community came together to revitalize that space so it wouldn't flood the neighborhood back in the day. So I'm just appreciative that the work is still going on. I should have asked this, but I definitely want to know, because you mentioned like stewardship and like there's gonna be like, you know, some positions for community members to get involved, so I imagine there may be stipends and stuff. And, I also wanted to know from Urban too, if y'all still hire or prioritize North Richmond residents to be hired in these programs or the stipends that y'all are having.
Yes, ma'am. So one, thank you. I appreciate your appreciation. And it's literally folks like y'all who come to these meetings and ask these questions that like move the needle and make things happen. So I appreciate you tenfold. And yes, so we do especially, okay, so sorry, let me gather my thoughts. So specifically for work in North Richmond, Lower Wildcat Creek, yes, it is an organizational goal of ours to support, employ, build capacity for North Richmond residents, and also Richmond, San Pablo, and North Richmond. Usually those three is what we're looking to support. And that's mostly because literally like our office is around the corner. We care so much about Western Contra Costa County and North Richmond. And so folks in the community leadership team, for example, a bulk of them are in North Richmond, grew up in North Richmond, or have worked for decades in North Richmond. And so really making sure that we're supporting the folks that we like say we care about, if that makes sense. Really trying to put our money where our mouth is, and supporting folks who want to care for Wildcat Creek. It's quite wonderful. I love the folks in my community leadership team. And I keep saying because I'm the facilitator for that program specifically. So I love them very much. And yeah, definitely working on giving as many opportunities to North Richmond residents as possible through our youth internship programs, through our community leadership programs, just through giving people an opportunity to get outdoors, birding programs, hike, storybook readings, family programs with the city of Richmond. I really just want to connect people to Wildcat. It's such a wonderful and untapped resource, or unknown resource for some folks, that it's really important that we get folks out there. Awesome. Any other questions?
The other thing that I wanted to add
All
was.
right. I don't think I hear any. If any comes up, please feel free to just let me know. Also, oh, I see a wave.
All right, yeah, so I just wanted to reiterate that, you know, a lot of studies have been done in North Richmond, so I'm glad that you're working with something that was already done, that Princess already did, and working from that rather than starting from scratch. You know, a lot of times we do the visioning sessions, but then there's no funding, so I think that is a really important part, rather than keep, you know, doing research and keep doing the visioning sessions with no funding. But my question, you mentioned the Shields Reed Garden or something like that. So I just wanted to know who's going to, once those are planted, who is responsible for maintaining to make sure they always look good, whatever's planted there. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we are slated for maintenance of that site. If I am not mistaken, perfect. Sorry, I just saw a comment come in. If I am not mistaken, we are slated to assist. Oh, and let's preface this with, I'll get back to you with the official confirmation, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we're slated for the next 5 years for maintenance of the Shields Reed site. And oh my gosh, I hope I'm not putting my foot in my mouth, but I believe our restoration team is going to try and, oh my gosh, but I hope that nobody gets mad at me. I think they're gonna put in another bid to do an extra 5 years on top of that. And so I believe that we will be maintaining that for the next, at minimum, 5 years to up to 10. And then after that, I believe it's in the hands of the city of Richmond, but I would like to connect with my restoration team and get back to you with an official answer on that, if that's all right with you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I don't see you, Marty. Okay, we're gonna move now to community reports, updates. Tanya, let's start with you. You've done good.
Okay. I'll give two really quick ones. One I actually have a flyer for. So this is the draft flyer, so I will be updating it, but it has all the important information, which is the date, the Zoom link, the time. And this is a meeting, it's a joint council meeting, so it's a collaboration between the North Richmond MAC and Shields Reed Neighborhood Council, because it's gonna impact all of North Richmond. And so it's gonna be hosted by the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, short, they go by BACMed as short, and you know, North Richmond MAC and Shields Reed. And so there's basically millions of dollars that are gonna go to Richmond, in Richmond area. There's about like 20 million in one pot and then 35 million in another pot. And so combined, yeah. What? Here, it's here, but it's not gonna all go to North Richmond, of course. It's gonna go to, one is a regional pot, and that's 75 million, and then the other one is a Richmond area pot, and that one is like 20 million. I think there's a certain percentage that goes to overhead, but it's still like a pretty nice pot of funding. And because of the policy that was passed through BACMed, the funding has to go to frontline communities. So it has to go to communities like North Richmond, Iron Triangle, San Pablo, I think Montalban might be a part of that, Atchison, Point Richmond, like, so basically all the communities are neighboring the refinery. So the BACMed has been doing presentations, and this is gonna be their presentation for North Richmond. So it's gonna be September 24th. I have flyers, I'll leave them here, at 5:30 p.m. And it's basically to learn about this new office, because they started a new office. It's called the Community Investment Office, and they just hired 2 permanent staff there. So now they have like an official, like staff members. It's an official office now. And they're the ones that are gonna oversee the whole process. And right now they're taking input. And so they'll be sharing all the information and all of their goals September 24th. So that's one meeting. And then there's another initiative that is forthcoming, and I just want to like plant the seed because I do want North Richmond to really show up in the surveys, but so I'll send a follow-up email before our next meeting, but basically there's leftover ARPA funding at the county level. And so each district is gonna get $1 million, and we want to get community input to see how we're gonna spend that money. And I highly recommend that people attend other meetings that there's gonna be in District 1, I think we're planning for anywhere between 3 to 5 meetings. And there's already like a coalition that's organizing, behind this. I think anytime there's pots of funding, you're always gonna find a coalition or a group, organizing and stuff. So I definitely highly recommend for North Richmond to come out to those meetings and really speak up, because what's unique about this is it's similar to Measure X in the sense that there's going to be a lot of community input being collected from each district, right? And then we can use those survey results or that input to then decide, what happens with the other funds left by ARPA, because each district is getting 1 million, that's only 5 million. There's another additional like around 19 million or something that are also gonna be given back to the county. And so, some organizers are like looking at, bigger pots of funding when it comes to that, and are organizing behind that. There's a lot of conversation of where that funding is gonna go or not, or county council, but I really do think that, these upcoming meetings are gonna be really important. And so definitely want North Richmond to be a voice in the room. So just planting the seed. Right now, we're just getting everything, getting ready to launch, basically the campaign. So hopefully in the next week, we'll have sent an email out. And I'll forward the email, of course, to everyone on the North Richmond MAC newsletter. And I'll send out personal emails to folks just to make sure that you're filling out the surveys and attending the meetings, but just planning to see that that's gonna happen. We're hoping that the first meeting happens this month, actually. So I think we're gonna start sprinting pretty soon. So I just wanna put the word out now. So I think those are my.
Is that a hybrid meeting, the September 24th?
So we're gonna do a mix of like in-person and hybrid, and then the county is launching a county-wide survey. So I think both are gonna be important, to submit.
And you said the investment, what you said, like his office is in John Joyce's office?
No, so that's a good question though. The Community Investment Office, that's through Backman. I think their headquarters is in San Francisco at the ferry building. Like you can take the ferry and then there's that little building. I think their offices are in there. But they have like satellite offices. I think this one is also a really important meeting to be a part of. And if you can attend, I would recommend sending me an email and I can CC or forward it to the Miriam. No, actually, it's not Miriam anymore. Her name is Emmy. I can forward it to Emmy, so at least she can like keep the log and stuff, because I think that's going to be really important. I think when it comes to the managing community investment, the good thing is that there's still a lot of gray area in regards to like how they're gonna allocate the money and stuff. They has to improve lives and health and air quality. But I definitely, I know the needs are big in North Richmond, so let's be creative in how we frame things to see if we can get, expand kind of like what the money gets used for, but overall, to improve health, quality of life is kind of the theme of it, so. Here. For the back med, it's here, right here, this, in this room. And then for the ARPA, it's gonna be a mix of like the Rise Center, maybe some churches. We're looking maybe at the Civic Center of San Pablo or Richmond, maybe Pinole. So it's gonna be like more district-wide. Yeah.
You know, Steve shared, like, and even that flyer, like PDF, so that you can have it on, you know, your.
Yeah, and this is a draft. I literally made it like right before I came because I was just like, I want to give out something, you know? So I'm gonna work on it a little bit and then I'm gonna send it on PDF. And I need to do that by like tomorrow, end of day tomorrow, because
And then we had a question.
So are these meetings to make the decisions on where you guys allocate the funds to?
yeah, it's like part of the process and they're gonna, at the meetings, they're gonna like go through the whole thing, you know, like the timeline, like like the amount of funds, like, you know, by when do they wanna start distributing the funds, like what would, you know, all of that. The good thing is that this meeting is so, like, they're just collecting, the process is barely beginning, so it's really like they're developing it as we speak, so there's not a lot of concrete or things that are set in stone yet.
So it wouldn't be the same like criteria that's on the Richmond, City of Richmond website? If you look on their website about the impact money, is it the same fund or is this different?
It's different. The community impact fund, that's at county level, but they're using the same word, they're using the same
Yes.
term. So there's like community impact funds, yeah, I mean, those are very, I feel like that term is very popular. And that's just a term that the county's picking to use this time around. And then for this one, it's community investment. They're using community investment. For BACMed, they're using community investment. And this is through the penalties for air quality. So like anytime, let's say the refinery flared too much and they got a penalty for it, it gets put into this pot of funding.
Well, so it's not part of the 500 million
Oh,
settlement, they just have.
It's different.
Yeah, this is the money that been sitting there, right?
It's been, it's been collected and I'm so thankful, you know, I was telling the lady to explain to me, she's like, Tanya, just tell them to come to the meeting, like, you know, and I was like, you're right, you know, but it is different from the 500. That was through a settlement, so that's settlement funding.
And the ARPA money I know is.
This
like-
is settlement funding too, but for a different reason.
And
yeah.
also the ARPA ones, like, you know, you mean like the lines that need funding, like where they like think. Sitting at funding.
Well, that's the goal of the ARPA town halls, they're calling it community investment, community fund, impact fund. So community impact fund is the ARPA funding, and that one is like, because the funding is not tied to anything, it could really go almost to anything.
So how much is allocated toward our Richmond since it's unincorporated? I know like half of the Bible.
There hasn't, I mean, I think that would be a really good thing to elevate during the meetings, right? Like, are you, like, how is it being, like, divvied up, you know, like,
Who's bearing the most burden and are they getting the right amount with it?
yeah, I would say that y'all can really argue on an equity point, you know, yeah. But I'll share that as I get it.
Thank you, Tanya. Let's see. You know, you gonna do 63 or?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janine Shahid. I'm just going to give a brief update on the mitigation team, which includes Kalu Dennis. We're continuing to do our task force walks, our monthly task force walk in high illegal dumping areas. We also patrol Wildcat Creek. And we actually discovered that there's a lot of work going on over at Wildcat Creek, trees, we had the goats. You know, there were 2 encampments that were actually being removed at the time when we did our walk. So that's, you know, doing really good as far as Wildcat Creek progression. And then secondly, we are continuing to outreach at community-wide events. We attended the 4th Annual North Richmond Music Festival, Buy Back the Jets, National Night at Block Party, Thrive Thursdays, and also the Black August event that was this weekend, and we'll continue to outreach and do those events. And then Kaloo put together a mitigation partners phone numbers. So this will be distributed. I mean, it's out there already. So people will know what agency to call. If they're, a hazard, if there's, things that are dumped, if they need to contact the sheriff's department, animal control, if there is a deceased animal. So Kaloo put this together and we wanted to share that. The North Richmond Green Letter September will be going out within probably this next week to all the households. Willie Spears Cleanup will be Saturday, October the 25th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now I'm gonna go to my other hat, which is here at the Corrine Sain Center. Contra Costa Senior Legal Services did a presentation regarding healthcare directives. So they're following up on the 16th, and there'll be an attorney here. And the seniors have scheduled one-on-one appointments to go over their advanced directive wishes. And then we have a partnership with Master Gardeners. We are starting a new garden club for our garden out here. First class will be Wednesday, September the 25th. We did surveys and there's a great interest in learning how to garden and to eat healthy. So that program's gonna go. And then my final one would be the Young Boss Network 8-week entrepreneurship program is back. This is a continuation of a very successful pilot program that we launched last year. Well, this year, but I'm so excited. We'll be doing, if you know any teenagers, it's for 14 to 22 years old. Any youth or teens or young adults that are interested in starting their own business, that's the key word. We have 3 who are really, really taking this seriously. And so we're doing a follow-up even with the other ones to continue the progress of their business. So anyway, we're doing an introductory meeting, which will be Thursday, September the 11th, 4:30, and the classes will be held here. And then the following week, the classes will be September 17th until November the 5th from 4 o'clock to 6 p.m. here. So if you know any teens, please send them my way. My email address is jshaheed@communityhdc.org. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, we're gonna move to, is anyone from the Housing Authority here? Okay. Richmond Land?
Dylan, you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm still up here. I appreciate y'all's time, and I know we kind of winding down at the end of this meeting, so I just wanted to give y'all a couple updates on what we've been doing over at Richmond Land. We started the month of August with Buy Back the Jets. We really appreciate our community coming together for a really powerful day of resources and community center fun. All focused around helping North Richmond residents access home ownership opportunities at the former Los Deltas sites. Huge gratitude to Shock the World and Smirkish Brand for sparking the vision and co-coordinating the event with us, and to our developers, ourselves, Richmond Land, Richmond Community Foundation, Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services, and Community Housing Development Corporation, CHDC, for supporting residents on their pathways. We had a ton of financial like realtors as well as financing folk out there helping people kind of gear up for the home ownership opportunities. We also had 500 plates of soul food from local caterer TMD Catering. We had cupcakes out from Sweet Addiction. We had 600 backpacks plus given away full of supplies from Change for 500 and Bonafide Riders. Have video game trucks out there, have face painting, have photo booths and decor by Theme Queens and Space Level 8, local businesses and live performances from North Richmond's very own JLR Deli, Way, Dante Clark, and the Barbie. So it was a huge success. And following up from that, Richmond Land hosted a virtual orientation for folk who signed up at the event, as well as some of our own membership. And then we are continuing that follow up, bringing resources to the community in real time at Fred Jackson Way. Every fourth Thursday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., you will be able to get one-on-one support from Richmond Land, as well as the other three below market rate developers I mentioned, to just help keep that journey towards home ownership moving. So please join us out there. I will drop flyers in the chat for that. Internally, we have our third resident member meeting, or I'm sorry, our third resident member meeting, as well as our third member meeting coming up in the month of September here on the 18th. So please go to richmondland.org, sign up. Membership sign up is extremely easy, extremely quick, and it just gets you access to all the programming we're doing here at Richmond Land to promote the community land trust here, and also just gets you access to all of the home ownership opportunities through Los Deltas as well. Just you'll be receiving information from myself and other team members. And then September 25th and 26th, we are super proud to announce that the Richmond Land team will be out at the California Community Land Trust conference. We'll be repping North Richmond out there really hard, and just gathering connections, networking, information about ways to bring real affordable home ownership opportunities back to our community here. So we're excited to bring y'all some media and, like I said, some resources back from that. Along with some of these programmings that we're doing for membership in the outfacing community, we've been locked in with our resident members over at South 24th Street property. We've completed our deck rebuild over there, and we will actually be doing a ribbon cutting. We've brought our residents back in. We're really ecstatic about having that deck rebuilt. We took a long overdue deck rebuild that needed to be done. Some of the deck beams were rotted out and stuff, and we worked with Rebuilding Together to bring a full deck rebuild there. So we're excited to get some media out around that as well. And then moving on to our other flagship development project, the North Richmond Eco Village. We are bringing on pro bono support from architects and engineers to really help de-risk the project, as well as develop new design and program support to bring larger families into our design scheme over there. We are also securing a new developer partnership with CHDC to complete site control and bring forth the next steps of the project. So with that, stay locked in with us. We're hoping to purchase and have site control before the holidays. Along with that, myself and the rest of the team have been completing our engagement with former residents of the Los Deltas scattered sites, and are hoping to obviously bring them back in with that right of return policy. And then top of the year, we will be launching more programming around the Rev. Along with that too, there's a lot going on. So we've got our annual member meeting coming up at the end of the year here. That's where we bring all of our members in person. We're going to have food. We're going to have interactive programming around the work that we've been doing. Our membership really leads our decision-making process, as well as all of the work we're doing around acquisitions in the community. So that's land acquisitions, that's policies that our membership in the community wants to see enacted at large. And so this is a space for all of our membership to gather and make those decisions collectively. So once again, I really encourage anybody and everybody, if y'all are already members, please pass on that richmondland.org address to community members that y'all know, family members that y'all know. Let's get folk out and signed up so we can kind of make these decisions together. And along with that, we will have board elections. So we're up to 6 acting board members, and we are actively looking for more. So once again, connect with me at Dylan@richmondland.org, Princess at richmondland.org. You can also hit info@richmondland.org, or just go to the richmondland.org website. Get in contact with us if you're interested in joining our leadership board. We have a tri-part board, so we got resident members sitting on that, community members sitting on that, and public good members. Like if you have a skill or a knowledge base that may help advance our mission, please bring it to the table. And that board election will be held at that annual member meeting at the end of the year. So if you're interested, please reach out to somebody on our staff, myself, Princess, or just info@richmondland.org. And let's put control back in the community hands. That's everything I got for y'all. And please check the chat. Tap in with us on our socials, Richmond Land on Facebook, as well as Instagram, for just more info about all of the things that I just covered and ways to tap in with us and continue this movement for community controlled land and property. I appreciate y'all guys. If there's any questions about any of those dates, feel free to ask now. Or like I said, I will drop flyers for the Resource Center on Fred Jackson, and then our upcoming programming as well as meetings in the chat. So yeah, once again, I appreciate you guys.
Okay, so yeah, we were at the fourth annual music event. We were at National Night Out at 700 Barrett. We made a donation. We had asked us for a donation for the soil donation for the housing resource event. For this month, we're in September at the farm. Our volunteer day is every fourth Saturday. Next month, our after school at the farm starts next month. Let's see. We had our Black August just did our Black August event over the weekend on Saturday. So our partners for that event were the Black neighborhood in Rich City. The resource table included CHBC. HBC, the Bay Area Association of Black Nurses, some of the grills, the homeless there were Dante Park, Roselle, Anaya, Quincy. So, you know, they Black resistance, and also there are activities for we have the blender bike, the tie dye, the petting zoo. And some of the vendors we supported were Owning Magic. I mean, they have their tables, Magic, Negro Boutique, Naturally Herbs. And then we supported some food vendors. We were sad to Jabari, one of our partners, who passed away. So we were sad about that, but we had some other vendors. So Nana Printing, we had too much sauce. So we were really encouraged by the community coming out, and it was a beautiful day, beautiful community, as you all that supported it. And Sharon, did you have anything? I think I gave you the update there. I bought these pieces from Black August. Was it Black August that one you talk about? Yeah.
So about the two.
Yeah, I will be at I'll be at 1401 Fred Jackson Way on Saturday from 10 to 1. If anybody wants to sign up or borrow tools, I'll be there. We just hired somebody who's gonna be helping, a part-time guy who's really nice. And we have conducted a community needs assessment. So we'll be opening up a second site. Looks like Marina Bay and Hilltop were the two areas that got the most votes. So probably by around the first of the year, we will have a second mobile tool library location. So Yeah, that's about it.
Are y'all out there every month?
Yeah, first and third Saturdays of every month, I'm there, so.
Thank you. Let's see, anybody from the library program?
No, I don't see anyone else.
You don't see anyone else? Okay. There's nothing else on our agenda. Thank everybody for participating and coming. And our next meeting is October 7th. And we're adjourned.
Thank you. You know,